The void stares back. The credits are rolling, the mics are recording. Gaze into the void with your hosts, Josh and Joey, as they discuss thoughts and questions surrounding visual, written, and interactive media steeped in cosmic horror.
Welcome, everyone.
Yeah.
To another episode of The Void Stares Back.
Another one.
I'm Josh.
I'm Joey.
And we just finished watching episode 6 of True Detective.
6 of 8.
Yep, season 1. So,
What's the name of this one again?
that's a good question.
Is it like a theme that every title is said within the context
Haunted
somewhere?
Houses.
I don't remember that being dialogue.
This one,
a lot of them are.
A lot of them are, but this one is not. So, as far as I remember.
Yeah. I don't know.
We just watched it.
Yeah, I don't think that was set.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. This one felt like the fourth one to me.
This one was a little more fillery
Yeah.
than the most previous one.
I was actually misled in my excitement because, so on the DVD,
Yeah.
at the beginning of each episode before you officially click play,
Yeah.
it gives you like a rundown of the episode.
Yeah.
It shows you a still,
Yeah.
it has the title again, and then some text I haven't been reading.
Yeah.
I'm sure, I assume it's a quick synopsis of something.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this one had the detective, I think, on the title card, the interviewer.
Yeah.
One of them. And the previous one had, or I'm flopping this, had his wife. I don't remember the exact order.
I think it was flipped. This one had his wife.
This one had his wife, the previous one had the sure.
Yeah.
And, last episode I talked about the dynamic of losing Rust's interview, and then I saw her on the front, and I was like, oh, okay. Get a new interview in.
Yeah.
And then we get more perspective into his story without him, right?
Yeah.
Pretty standard. Like, that's the cool part about this show, right? Is that little moments like that are a window into, being a detective and just like going through a big list of people who were there, who saw it, who heard it, who participated, and then just checking them all.
Yeah.
Cross-referencing all those crazy deets. I thought that was going to be more interesting because, like, we saw a little bit, right? Like the little affair that she had with Russ or whatever. Like that's the strong connection point between, it's the catalyst for their relationship dissolving and that whole thing. I just don't know what I expected out of it, but I was hoping that it would have been deeper.
Sure.
Like she would have just. Like, there would have been more to that relationship between her and Russ, because there was, like, a little bit of something there.
Yeah, always.
In all the scenes with them together.
Yeah. She's even, like, in a weird way, like, charmed by him and his sad story the moment he comes to dinner in episode 1.
Right.
She...
And she talked highly of him before she got into the details with the interviewers.
Right.
She's like, he... So, like, every sentence she had to say was, like... My husband's bad, and Russ is a better example of this.
Yeah.
Right. I only knew him to be a good guy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I can only answer in that way or whatever, and then that whole thing, and maybe there'll be more in the future episodes, but I feel that's generally the gist of how it went down, right? Mm-hmm. I don't know where this fits in the timeline of their relationship. Marty and Margaret's, or what's her name? Margaret?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Because she, they've all been talking vaguely about how long, there's 7 years where some of it was good, some of it was bad, and she's generally talking about the marriage. I don't know how much more of the marriage occurs after that moment.
None.
That's it?
Because they kept saying, the interviewers saying, well, what happened to Cole in 2002? Because he quit.
Right.
He quit the day after she told Marty that she did that with Rust.
Okay.
So that's 2002, which is 7 years after 95, which is when the Dora Lang case was.
Sure.
So this is the end of the 7-year period marking...
Oh, that she was referring to.
Yeah, and this is the beginning of the 10-year gap in their connection.
Whose?
Rust and Marty.
I'm talking about Margaret and Marty's relationship. Their
I know
marriage.
that's done.
It ends. It's
Yeah,
like very shortly
yeah.
after this.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't remember how that all like pieced together.
Yeah.
I was just curious
Yeah,
if it was
kind
like
of, this was the catalyst to basically every relationship just being done. So
right. Okay. Yeah. So I mean that means it's like the future of her being interviewable. Mm-hmm. Can it remains open, right? Like the whatever happened after the marriage, and has yet to be sort of referenced or disclosed or
right
or any of that. But yeah, just generally, I'm hoping for more from that as a replacement for the story.
Sure.
Because the scene of him in the car and the horns, I didn't realize was present day until
the very end. Right?
to the very end. So it's nice to know that we're finally going to make progress from that perspective on, now that we've caught up to it to some vague extent, right? And then the mystery is now what he spent his 10 years doing or whatever it was.
Right.
Because like a lot of the shots from the interview scenes of Marty, he looks a lot older than they made him look in the car when the horn was honking. So I wasn't like super sure.
Sure. Yeah.
Because they shot up at him and it kind of made him look a little bit more bald than he was when he was younger and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I didn't make the connection until he walked up to the car with his hair.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. Time for them to
swap stories. Yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
To pick each other's brain, because it's clear that is occurring, not just because, he recently got pulled into the interview, but because Russ is building that connection with why he's being interviewed and knows that Marty would have been, and he's getting into it and he's ready to get both sides of the story all to himself, which I think is like part and parcel why he offered to do it over a beer. He's like, let's get this guy liquored up. So but yeah, like subject matter for the cast wise, not a whole lot of interesting things occurred in that realm.
The big thing being towards the beginning when Rust visits the girl.
Yes.
Older.
Yes. The guy with the scars.
She just starts freaking out at the thought of this face.
I'm trying to think if she said anything peculiar other than the description of the man.
No, she said the giant.
Giant. That's always fun.
Yeah, and he mentions was there scarring on his face? And she said, starts going, his face, and just freaks out, at the idea. So.
PTSD.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting. The Tutley thing is.
Oh yeah, Tuttle, Reverend.
Oh, Tuttle, yeah.
Tuttle.
Tutley,
yeah.
What is Tutley? I don't know. No idea what that's from. But the Tuttle thing has always been like pretty glossed over by the show until now, right? Like like they did the task force, and you're like, it's crazy Christian town down there in Louisiana. Of course, that's something that might pop up, and then you're like, that seemed a little bit opportunistic and weird.
Right. Well, and they kept mentioning like any time that a religious organization came up in conversation relating to the case, or like anybody was involved, or like victims were, talked about in the case, they were involved with these tent revivals and all this stuff, and it was always Tuttle after each one. So
well, I mean,
he's
dropping the big guy.
They've been dropping the hints throughout the show, but like very glossed over. Yeah,
it's never touched up on by Rust until until he starts poking around that stuff, and I'm curious to know the implications of Mr. Silver Fox of the police force who keeps showing up. The chief has changed. Yeah. But he hasn't.
Sure.
He's been there the whole time. He was there with the task force, a little bit less old, still alive, still kicking.
Yep.
Always shows up when Mr. Turtle Man, comes up, and he wasn't there for, their other mishaps as partners and stuff like that. Not that he would be called in, but he's the one who comes knocking on the chief's door when the religious groups are upset or want to take over or whatever.
Yeah.
So he's a part of the chain of command of effect that Mr. Turtle Boy has over the city and its police force and that sort of a thing, right?
Yeah.
It's just a flex of power, or kind of the same relationship that Marty goes on when disciplining the kids who were locked up, and then just calling in favors, right? So I'm sure it's a similar situation where it's just like, I do this by, because he even mentions it, right, when Russ is not interrogating, but has the friendly conversation with him in his office. He's like,
you don't get to say what kind of conversation it was or whatever.
Sure, but not that. But when he is having that conversation with him, Tuttle mentions his charitable organizations, or what he focuses on, his legacy thing. Yeah. Not least of which is the police program. And so you just get the little taste of I've got my fingers on all these things, and
Yep.
And I like that he didn't want to see the records, because he just very quickly knew he was being jerked around by Tuttle, as he was like, it might have been damaged in the water.
Yeah.
There's a flood of some kind. This is Louisiana where it's wet all the time,
Yeah. And Tuttle's even like, oh, call ahead. Let him know you're coming. And it's like,
nah, don't bother.
Yeah.
I'll come back for that.
Yeah.
Leaves the force the next day.
Yep.
That's, I think, the big scenes from the show that were kind of nodding to the cultic activity, or the powers that be, or the people in control, or whatever. I just want more cool imagery.
Yeah.
I said it off mic while we were watching it, but the scene leading, the very last scene of the episode is
it's perfect.
Great cinema, where it's just a shot of a GoPro mounted to the side of a car.
Yep.
But it's of the taillight that he threw Marty into and broke, and it's still broken 10 years later.
10 years, yeah.
And that's just nice icing on top of the cake, of who Russ is still. Doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Not something worth his time to repair.
Yeah.
Totally capable of repairing it.
Yeah.
Doesn't care. Still busted.
Yep.
They're getting back together to have a drink.
Yep.
And it just shows that's their last memory before this moment together.
Right. Well, and how metaphoric it is of his ability probably to mend that relationship.
Sure.
Right?
Not
and
that he's trying to do that.
No.
Yeah.
But could have at any given point. Didn't.
It's still as it was.
Still broken. Yeah.
And they talk a lot about in the show of people changing, and the fact that people don't really change.
Yeah.
They even talk about the illusion of change is just that people forget, stuff like that, which is also not true, but it's definitely a very, very, very nice shot.
Yeah.
Best shot in this episode, I think. Not that this one was particularly cinematic.
Sure, but
specifically over some of the past ones that have been really cinematic. There's not tons more development with any of the other little bits, a relationship with his daughter and stuff is still kind of the same, and same thing happens much more quickly than expected with his wife, and and this weirdly young girl,
Yeah. Well, the one that he gave money to.
Right.
Yeah, it was just do something else.
She was young then, and then now it's been 10 years.
Not even 7.
Oh yeah, 7. Yeah, 7-ish years since that.
Yeah,
and
so she was like maybe 13, probably 14
at the time
when he met her originally, and now so she's like 20, 21. Like,
yeah.
21. Obviously, she can go into the bar and have a drink. So she's probably 21.
Yeah. It's a little bit rough there.
Yeah.
That's always been a thing that I like. I don't, and like a lot of shows do this where they have some main character who's maybe sleazy, and in this case is sleazy.
Yeah.
And then they just cast all these beautiful women to ogle over them.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how this fucking guy is like.
Yeah.
In many cases, not doing a goddamn thing, and then like these just like Hollywood actress, beautiful women just approach him at the bar, and like, and then it's more than just I saw you at the bar. Let's have an ongoing thing going. And I'm just like, what is this? What? Do these people exist? These kinds of people? Like, I feel like they maybe don't. It's kind of like Mad Men-y, where it's like a glamored up version of that exchange.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just I think that no matter what I'm watching when that happens, because it happens a lot.
I'm wondering in this particular instance with her, if she didn't recognize him in the phone store, and then followed him, like saw him go into the bar across the street,
right?
Decided to follow him,
yeah,
you know, and confirm her suspicion that it was the same guy, and
sure,
you know,
yeah.
But yes, it is weird that those, because like they show that in movies and shows quite often, and I'm like, God, does it really work that way?
It's generally not so cut and dry.
Yeah.
But what the fuck do I know? I don't hang out in bars.
Right.
What else happened in this episode, though? A lot of it was just, you know.
Rust talked to the one guy whose boy disappeared at the beginning.
Oh, the guy with the shotgun on his porch?
And then talked to the old reverend.
Right.
The tent revival stuff, which led him to Tuttle.
Some kiddie porn stuff going on there. And who was he referencing when he talked to Tuttle? Was that who he was referencing? That guy?
Oh, Pharaoh?
Because he asked Tuttle about how it shook down.
Yeah.
And Tuttle said he had an accident.
Yeah.
After his accident.
Yeah.
Or something like that. And then they talked about embezzlement.
It was embezzlement first, and then he said, oh, did that happen before? Was that before his accident? And
he said yes, right?
And then Tuttle said, oh, yeah, he had a problem with drinking, implying that the guy probably was in an auto crash or something from being drunk, and was probably really just taken care of.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
We handled it internally. And it's like...
Yeah, the embezzlement thing, we decided not to press charges and stuff.
Well, but the embezzlement, I think, like... All right, so the way I think it's supposed to be implied is the guy that Rust asks about is the guy that the old reverend found. He found pictures in that guy, Pharaoh's office. This guy we haven't met.
Right.
So Rust asks Tuttle about Pharaoh, and
he says Pharaoh.
Tuttle redirects from Kittyborn to embezzlement instead. Just glosses, like... changes.
Well, they never talk about the specifics. He
exactly.
said,
well, but that's the thing.
Yeah.
I think that Rust was implying kitty porn, and Tuttle
said something else because Rust knew. Yeah.
And so yeah, Tuttle's like, oh yeah, you know, I guess you call it embezzlement and whatever.
Right.
And we handled that internally. I think knowing full well what Rust was trying to get at and change the subject matter instead.
Yeah, I got lost in the names because I wasn't sure if he was talking about a different person or the one that Russ actually spoke to.
No, it wasn't the guy that he spoke to. It was the guy that guy talked about. Yeah.
Okay.
And then after the embezzlement thing, he said, you know, oh, was that before his accident? And
so the guy is
implying
dead.
the guy is dead.
Yes. Got it.
Yeah. So.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of this episode was just about like the short number of sequences that led up to their fight and you know, some of the things that built up to them.
Yeah.
being upset at each other.
Mm-hmm. Explaining the gap in time, and then also, now giving them reason to reconnect.
Yeah, and I mean, I assume there was no comm, and then it was only a window situation, but that opening scene of the interrogation that kicks off their downfall as partners.
Oh.
Where he just coldly tells that woman to kill herself.
Yeah.
To save herself from, the horrid environment of prison and something else.
No, there was a comm because they're standing outside the room, and
I saw it on the wall, but they didn't react like he just said that to her.
Right, but you definitely hear it through the wall because the first shot after
but I assumed it was just because he was miking the
confession.
Yeah, but maybe not.
I don't know. I just know that Marty was, the chief walks up and he's like, he's getting it, and then you can hear Russ say, "I'm going to need you to sign that," but it's outside the glass when he says it, and you can hear him.
Oh, the audio is...
Yeah, the audio is specifically through the comm. So, but I don't know that they would have it on all the time or not.
Or if it was implied that he was like kind of whispering that to her versus...
Yeah.
I don't know. They just didn't react at all.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't
just his mouth a bit, but like it's not a gasping.
Yeah, it's just like a resting...
Yeah. So...
Because like the other people were there.
Mm-hmm.
There were two of the people who were like, "Oh yeah, he's getting it and he's great, and we gotta keep, laying it on that he's really good at it."
Yeah.
But like usually he's around when he says an awful thing and calls him an asshole.
Exactly. Well, like
and this time he gets kicked out.
Yeah, when Russ tells Dora Lang's ex, like, you showing the pictures to Ledoux probably didn't help. And, Marty immediately calls him out. He's like, you didn't have to kick the guy down when he's already that low. You know? So this would have been something for sure.
Even worse.
Yeah, he's like, what are you doing? So.
Yeah, that part was a little bit strange, and I just assumed it was because he couldn't hear anything because he wasn't in there anymore.
Right.
And perhaps Russ took that as, the ability to say something that harsh or whatever,
right?
Because he was alone now in the room with him or with her.
Well, in that room too, if you notice like where it is in the building, like all of the desks and stuff are like kind of right there.
Yeah,
so if they had
like
the
in the center.
Yeah, if they had the comm going, that'd be distracting to them, and like you could
maybe so. Yeah.
So I don't know.
It was definitely a weirder moment where I was just like, I feel like he would have anybody would have reacted to that, like even a little bit. Maybe it's really normal that he just tells all of those confessionese to commit suicide, but it's pretty awful.
Yeah,
and they lead really early on in this episode with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know if there was much else. This episode definitely doesn't touch on the themes.
Nope.
That we usually
just
want to discuss. So
it just sets up the next episode.
Yeah,
I assume. It's also it's another one where it spends a lot of time on just some of those other story arcs that are kind of going on. This one was more specifically about their marriage.
Yeah,
and how he would like show up randomly, already be washing his clothes because he was just with the girl and in the shower before, and that sort of thing, and they're just like, yeah, let's take the time to show you this, and I don't know. And the scene with his wife and Russ was a little strange.
Yeah,
I don't know.
What do you think about the moments before that, before she shows up and he's like drinking and
shining the flashlight through,
making shadow antlers on the wall and stuff, and his apartment is now covered in pictures of the crime scenes instead of like how he used to just spread files out. Now he's actually got like pictures on his walls.
He's had pictures for a little while.
Yeah, but it's
in a lot of the
clearly
shots.
Like he has more and more. Like
it's just continuing. Yeah, I mean, it felt more drunk stupor.
Sure.
Like, he just quit. Or,
it was probably that day, I think.
Yeah.
And so
he was just kind of Just like, yeah, fuck it all, drink, and I'll look at all this stuff and
Focus on the only thing that I can focus on. And
the case.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I didn't notice anything specific in that scene that was like, ooh, I was particular.
Yeah, I wasn't fishing here, just getting you general thoughts.
Yeah, I was hoping there was something there. I just didn't see anything. It's just kind of funny that he has antlers now.
Yeah.
And he built himself a demon net.
Yeah. Unless he stole one out of the evidence locker.
That one looked a lot more cleanly built than the ones we've been seeing.
Yeah.
I think he was just constructing the general structure or something for some analytical purpose. But
it's interesting that he has the antlers in his home, and that was the only question that he asked Ledoux before Ledoux died.
why antlers?
Yeah, he said, why the antlers? And then never asked him another question. He obviously kept telling him to be quiet,
Yeah.
you know, but that was the one thing that, like, apparently he cared enough about to spit out before Ledoux was killed, so.
Yeah, I mean, it was a relatively tense scene up in,
Yeah.
you know, right after that. You know, so there was no real conversation time. Or whatever,
Right.
So.
But, yeah, that was the one that was the first question he asked,
Yeah.
so.
It's a silly question to ask.
It is.
Yeah. Out of all the things you could have asked.
Yeah,
he's spouting
the guy.
He's spouting random things about the Black Star and you know, time being a circle or whatever. And you're like, what about the antlers? Let's focus here on the antlers, because that's really what we're here to discuss.
Yeah.
I didn't really think about that, but that was definitely a little strange.
Yeah.
You got to be more choosy with your questions, Russ.
Gotta ask the right questions.
It's all circling back. Yeah, I don't know. This is just setting up stuff that's expected. I'd rather be informed through other implications that
Sure.
Turtle Man is a douchebag. You've already started with the, you know, because Russ has just said, isn't it fishy that this is when this shows up? You don't have to show me as much.
Yeah, but I mean, it makes sense that, you know, he's mentioned it before, and why wouldn't he then go investigate that? And we need to see that as viewers.
Maybe.
To some extent,
I mean...
Unless he just, I guess, comes out and says it later, hey, I visited Tuttle, this is what he said.
No, but seeing it is fine. It's just, the pomp and circumstance surrounding it is just sort of, I get, it all makes sense. It's not, I'm not complaining that it's out of place or that it...
Yeah.
You know, I just... It's more of the stuff that, I don't really, you know, care all that much about. Episode 8 comes around and we find out Tuttle's just some embezzling douchebag who's just controls the whole city and more, I'm sure, and you know, all the, I don't care about that. I'm even after, you know, Russ proves it all or something, it's not why I'm watching the show.
Yeah.
And it's clear that it's there to the extent that they're showing it to us now for the purpose of developing those littler story arcs, which is why I don't care as much.
Sure.
But I realize that it is the vehicle for, and it's doing that effectively, and it's well pieced together. But I'm just, you know, not as big of a fan of that particular part of this story experience is all. So I have no suggestions for how to reshoot this without it. And that's not, you know, I'm not completely claiming that, but but I definitely like the other episodes in between these ones. It's been in every other situation after the first two. Actually, the second one was weaker than the first.
That's what you said, yeah.
All the even-numbered episodes aren't great. All the odd-numbered episodes are banging so far, though. See if that trend continues. Be a shame since it's only 8 episodes and
you only got 2 left,
and it ends on an even number.
Yeah,
I'd hate to be disappointed on the the finale, but
I don't think you will be.
I don't think so either. And then come that episode, I'll be like, thank God they had all the dumb turtle exposition because it paid off at the end.
Yeah.
As he ascended into some demon And they had to fight him in Mortal Kombat.
Jeez.
They recruited his old buddy from the gangs. What was that guy's name?
What?
His biker gang buddy?
Oh, he kept calling him Ginger, but I don't think that was his actual name.
Yeah, no, that was his, well,
Yeah.
what was his Scratch or
Yeah.
Scratch and Sniff and Ginger or whatever the fuck his name was?
Crash.
Crash, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Scratch and Sniff.
Oh my god.
Good old Crash and Ginger. Anyway. Yeah, I don't know. I don't have very many questions after this one.
Yeah. Well, it didn't raise a lot. It's more informative than,
I wonder if we're missing interesting shots of his Taxman book. If it's randomly laid out occasionally in his sprawling apartment full of info that you end up looking at probably more specifically than otherwise. Because it's quite a secret document.
Yeah.
Or book or whatever. Because you see it a couple times when he barely flashes it to a person. It doesn't often just flash to the camera. Yeah. We see it episode 1, and we see one drawing he makes.
Yeah.
And on that page, well, a couple of drawings, but one page's worth of drawing where he draws the woman.
Yeah.
And he draws one of the standees, like a little tiny version of it in the corner of the page. And then I'm sure there's a couple of other scribblings of some of the...
He drew the spiral and
the spiral. So. And then, he flashes the symbol to the preacher in episode 2 or 1?
2.
Was that still?
I think so. I think so.
And then, that's when he flashes a couple more images of some stuff that isn't, new pictures that we didn't know he was still drawing. And that's pretty much it. We see him take notes occasionally when certain pieces of information spark up. And I'm curious if that's like a nod for us.
Sure.
Right? And whether it's just like one of those details of polish that the story has. Mm-hmm. Where it's like, because the moment he talks to the guy with the shotgun.
Yeah.
That's the beginning of this one, right?
Yeah.
And he talks to the guy with the shotgun on the porch. And he asks where his daughter or son?
Yeah, he said, I want to talk to you about your boy Billy or whatever. Yeah.
His son and where they went to school. And he tells Russ, and then Russ
writes down.
Takes a moment, opens his book.
Yeah.
Starts noting. There's been other times where he starts, people are taking notes. Mm-hmm. And I'm curious at, how relevant that is because they're showing it to us. There's times when the interviewer guys taking notes.
Yeah.
When they're talking to certain people and they'll lift their pages up and be like, take that note. It's important for later.
Right.
I wonder if it's like
the relative cueing us.
A little bit.
This is a note you should be remind yourself.
Yeah. Pay a fucking attention because the detectives are paying attention, right now. And one of the examples I just gave gets paid off immediately, right? He goes to see the porch guy, learns about the school, investigates the schools. Yeah. Starts digging into that. So it's not something we have to cache in our memories for later.
Right.
Specifically, but I just wonder how many times it happened in the last 5 episodes,
Yeah.
And then I just didn't really pay it any mind. Mostly because there's lots of other stuff to talk about. But I want to know about that book. I know all the secrets, all the names, and if I wrote a story like this, that's the sort of book I'm publishing.
Yeah.
In real life, after.
Yeah.
Buy the collector's edition, comes with the journal, and then you just get the writings of a madman and the drawings and. Yeah, those are just some of the only meaningful thoughts that maybe came out. Still there was no. I think all the weird scenes I described last episode with his daughters are happening on those odd-numbered episodes, Maybe not. Maybe there was one that happened in episode 2, the Barbie dolls. I don't know. But they're definitely the weirder episodes where that sort of stuff maybe occurs more often. And this one wasn't particularly strange. This one was very human.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a tactic of the show that I'm criticizing due to my taste. But they're grounding. They're not filler, they're grounding.
Yeah.
Perhaps that's the intent dually
Yeah.
to progress the characters, progress those other storylines, but also to just say, like, this is still a very human
Yeah.
experience. Now that they've done some weird human drama, and they start discovering weird stuff again, and you're like, and the show just, pulls you back and forth through this experience. It's not working on me if that's the case. I don't feel grounded. I feel wanting, instead. So I'm having a negative variation or reaction to that. But I'm curious if that's maybe the intent, where they're trying to make it maybe more broadly accessible while still providing a good story in those filler episodes, quote unquote. But then kind of easing you back into, not necessarily easing, but not continually like forcing down your throat.
Yeah.
Isn't this weird? There's,
Yeah.
all this cool stuff's happening, and did you catch the symbol in the last scene? It was a secret, and so they're not so ham-fisted about it. And then in these last two episodes that we will eventually get to, perhaps that's when they're like, and they lay it all out for you, and they're like, yeah, it's pretty weird, isn't it? And how is there going to be the spinning top, the Inception top at the the end? It's like, is it human error or something deeper? It's like, you decide. And and like having these moments of pause between the ludicrous gives space for the characters to maybe decompress from weird experiences. Like, they had a whole episode on Russ seeing things.
Yeah.
They don't do that anymore.
Right.
And he's been back on drugs since then. That would have been a great touch in episode 4. Was it 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, the gang one.
Yeah.
It's such a nice touch. If just in the middle of all that crazy shit, he's just seeing stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was like on so many drugs in the span of 24 hours. It was crazy.
Yeah.
But nothing. And like, he talked the whole time during the Visions thing about that being the case. Like, that's probably where he got fucked up. And he's like, yeah, back when I did, when I was...
If that's the cause.
Sure. But why did it stop if it's not? What was special about that episode that made him have visions, other than it was titled Seeing Things, or whatever the fuck the title of the episode was?
Yeah.
I occasionally have been like thinking about his visions and whether certain moments are in question because he's got plenty of alone screen time. He's not with his partner all the time, and because that's the whole reason he got suspended and quit, is that he's running off on his own, doing his own thing off book.
Yeah.
Off book. We got it that time. We got it.
Took us 3 episodes.
Where was I going with that?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know?
I'm just kidding.
I just said it, didn't I?
Yeah, you were talking about his visions.
Oh, yeah. It seems like a great time for him to start seeing stuff when he's all alone. At least for us to like see him see stuff. I don't know. It's curious. I hope it isn't just a vehicle during that episode for a story. It's like, this is the vision chapter of my story, and I'm glad you brought me out here instead of, because my day off, I'm supposed to be drinking all day, and let me tell you about these visions I've been having. Also, they stopped. Did I mention that they no longer happen? Oh. And maybe they happen and we're just no longer privy to them, and it's not important that we get to see them.
Sure.
I want to see them, though. I like it when he's seeing weird patterns in crow, migration.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Where's the owl?
It's still there to this day. In the rafters of that
17 years later. It's good.
You haven't aged a day. Yeah, I don't know. I have a feeling that that's just a feature that's been dropped off.
What, the vision?
Yeah. From like our the viewer's privy, and perhaps it will come up in insane psychic visions later or something, or he's just experiencing them now, because he talked about them in the past tense in the interview at the time. He's like, I used to have visions. I didn't know it was for one tiny segment of your investigation, because that investigation basically, for like the good parts of it after the first body was found, was basically a month. They were like, you got a month and now figure this stuff out, and then they start figuring out some stuff.
I think at one point in one of their episodes they mention is a 3-month span
since the court, since they found
the body to catching Ledoux was a 3-month span.
Yeah.
So
and in that final month is when things start to crack down, because they run out of leads, and the guy's like, you got to hand it over to the task force. And,
Yeah.
And he's like, give us 1 more month, boss. We'll give you 4 weeks, and whatever. And then he's having visions at some point.
Yeah.
So he only had them for like a week, or however long we were privy to that. Because they seemed like when they were framing it that it was random.
Yeah.
It would just be a thing that happened. He had 2 visions in the same day when he approached the burnt church.
Yeah. That's true.
His eyes went like crazy, and the sky overexposed on him, and then he saw the pattern in the crows. And maybe the owl was a vision. We talked about that on episode 3, I think, or whenever that was.
If the pattern of the crows was a vision.
Sure.
And if the sky...
He's the only one who saw it. He's mainlining the truth, man. That's his whole thing.
Sure.
And then later he mainlines red food coloring and cumin.
Yeah.
AKA the truth. Don't do that, kids.
Yeah, no. It's he said cayenne and ink. Cayenne pepper.
Oh, even worse. Well, maybe. I don't know. Cumin's pretty bad. And if you're injecting anything into your surface level of your skin, you're not having a good day.
Yeah. I wouldn't want to do cayenne pepper, though. Jeez.
Yeah, he needed to irritate his skin.
Yeah, well, that'll do it.
I'm pretty sure putting anything in there would have irritated your skin.
Yeah, but that...
That really irritates your skin.
He's tried loads of other...
Yeah. This did it best.
Here's the recipe, folks.
Yeah.
1 part cayenne pepper, 2 parts red. Don't do drugs, kids.
Yikes. I think that about covers it.
Yeah.
There wasn't much.
I've expressed some sadness.
Yeah.
I want to experience visions, guys.
Yeah.
I want to have psychotic breakdowns. We've been staring at the void this whole time.
We have.
And nothing. I want results.
Well, Joey, it is a void.
Yeah, well, I thought it would stare back. I'm ready.
Well, everyone watch episode 7.
Yeah. It'll be a little gap between
for us.
So
not long.
We slowly picked up on a lot of the stuff we forgot about, the stuff we talked about in episodes 1 and 2, since there was a gap between 2 and 3.
Yeah. Yeah,
and I'm sure we'll do the same.
Yeah, at the time of us recording this, it is 4:47 a.m.
Yes.
And we started this at about 8 p.m.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, we watched a few episodes.
Just add an hour to each episode length.
Yeah.
Since episode 3.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how long that we did this session.
Yeah.
Just a little behind the scenes.
Couple small breaks in there. But,
behind the void.
But
watch episode 7, like you said.
Yep. And we will be back to discuss it.
Yeah, we'll be on the same page, and we'll talk about it, and it'll be great. It'll be good.
I'm excited.
You've been saying that, and we've had some ups and downs. You lied to me.
No.
I was under the impression that it would all be uphill after that one episode where you said that one time.
Yeah, well.
And it was for the most part.
Has the quality of the show faltered?
Never. But
well, then.
It hasn't increased in those moments.
Sure.
It's just stayed at a constant level of really well shot and acted and well written. And that's not enough for me. I want more. But no, I always feel weird when there's an episode with not a lot to talk about, you know, it's totally fine.
Yeah.
All our episodes don't need to be, you know,
I have this like
20-hour
fear that your
discussions.
expectations are going to be like way high
What do you mean?
for what you hope this ends up being.
Oh, I have no hopes for what this ends up being. Just
Okay.
you know, I'm happy with my journey.
Yeah.
You know,
okay.
this has been you know, a pleasing endeavor. I would watch this show if all of the episodes were even numbered episodes. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like of
sure.
the, you know,
Yeah.
it's still a very quality show.
Yeah.
But for the purposes of our podcast,
Yes.
you know,
yeah.
like
Yeah.
those episodes have been the least worthy of discussion and
Sure.
forward
Absolutely.
progressing the conversation of like the
Yeah.
context here. Mm-hmm. And I think I think I'm glad we didn't do this in parts, where like knowing now it probably would have made sense to do 2 episodes, 1 and 2, talk about it.
Oh, 3
you know,
and 4.
3 and
talk
4,
about-
that
yeah,
sort of a
just do,
thing.
like 4 parts. Yeah.
I just know I would have lost some details, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Since each of those we would have ended on even episodes so far, and each of those have been like
Sure.
just sort of dragging on with the stuff I'm less interested into talking about.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we're doing it one at a time, even if we do have some like shorter episodes in between.
Yeah.
That's, you know, they got filler. Here's your filler, podcast
Yeah.
listeners.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get on another one of our wacky tangents.
Yep.
We didn't really do that this time, but
No.
next time.
Still almost an hour episode though.
Yeah, it was a
For us.
good 50 minutes.
Yeah. So.
It'll let it down a little bit, but
Yeah.
not significant. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely still on board. If the theme, as I imagine it does, continues through season 2 and 3, I've got a feeling I won't be as disappointed in the show season 2 as most people seem to be.
I know next to nothing about season 2. So
Just that it's had a bad reception in general.
it's had a bad reception, and I know the 2 main actors. So
Who's in that one?
Colin Farrell and Vince Vaughn.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing the
So,
cover of that when
yeah.
that came out.
Yeah. And it takes
Interesting.
place in a more metropolitan area. So
Similar time frame, or do you not know?
I don't know the year. I think it's more modern day than this.
Okay, that's
Which is
fascinating.
pretty modern day, but like
Sure.
I mean,
20 years ago.
Yeah, a large chunk of it takes place
More
in the
than 20.
Yeah, in the 90s, but in the present in this, it's 2012, so it's not that long ago.
Oh,
When
the
they were
present
getting
shots.
interviewed.
Yeah.
So,
That's fair.
but yeah, I think True Detective season 2 is, if I recall, is like
A little bit
actual
further.
present day. Yeah.
Oh, sure.
Whenever it was shot a couple of years ago. So,
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I don't think I'll be generally disappointed with it. I'm actually hopeful I'll like it more.
Man,
Because
that's a tall order for me. so,
Sure. No, I mean, as a package, this is clearly like very well put together.
Yeah.
But I often think movies that excite me for the reasons we're making this
Yeah.
are generally not critically acclaimed.
That's fair. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like Annihilation
Yeah.
is maybe the biggest
outlier
in that,
Yeah.
where everybody loves the movie and for good fucking reason.
Yeah.
But most of the movies
Yeah.
that ask questions and that don't answer them and
Yeah.
that give you that feeling of like need for more answers and more universe or whatever don't do that well generally.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes there'll
Certainly
be
not
like
critically.
sometimes there'll be a couple critics who are like, this is kind of highbrow, or this is
Yeah.
above. Like, if you're gonna enjoy this, it's very niche. You know,
Yeah.
like certain people will enjoy this. And I totally get that, and it's
Yeah.
like why a lot of movies like that or a lot of content like that doesn't get made very often, because it's
Yeah.
hard to get paid by the people beforehand
Yeah.
if that's the product you're selling them. You know,
That's true.
no one's gonna like this. Can we have the money, please?
Yeah.
I was like, nah, no. Tough sell.
Yeah.
But that's the only reason. I know nothing about it other than literally what you told me. That's the
Yeah.
most I know now.
Yeah.
Is what you have known about it.
Yep.
And you say you own it now, right?
I don't.
Oh, you
but
don't.
No.
That's when you'll have to. We'll have to acquire it.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. No. That's I think. That's just a gut feeling
Sure.
that I think I will appreciate it even if it isn't better than this, more than maybe the general consensus about it is.
Yeah, I definitely don't think I'm gonna hate it as much as most people do.
Sure.
So,
Well, I mean,
yeah.
we've already watched some pretty subpar movies on this cast that you enjoy. And by that I mean one.
Only one.
Just one. I might count a couple of these episodes. I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
All that said, I'm hopeful for season 2, just based on, especially based on learning more about the universe. Like, like if it's not, it's like it's clearly an independent story.
Yeah.
Unrelated, as you've said. I don't know how true that actually holds. I mean, like if we get to those deeper questions, whether we're like,
maybe
it's kind of similar.
Yeah, maybe.
They're all experiencing these things independently at different times, but they're of the same ilk, so it's probably something bigger going on.
Right.
But if they're separate stories, within the same universe, that's promising to me, right? Like, I'm not interested in how well this is shot when it comes to our cast. I'm interested in the universe and the questions that it asks.
Yeah.
And, like, why these particular people are privy to these weird experiences and all that stuff. And hopefully Vince Vaughn or whoever the fuck is in the next one is also privy, and we get to see into that window. It's difficult to come out of like these two, like just for anybody, no matter how good of an actor you are, to follow these guys.
Yeah.
Because this is serious business.
Yeah.
It's like Oscar level shit.
Oh yeah. 100%.
So, tough act to follow. Not going to be what I'm going to grade anybody on season 2.
Right. Yeah,
like I've said in the past, like they will most likely nail it.
To the best of their ability with what they're given.
Yeah, and not to say that season 2 will be written badly either. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I think it will be good. It's just like it's like I can't speak to this either, but if Game of Thrones had a pretty awful season somewhere in the mix, people are fucking coming back for season 8.
Well, the last season was pretty much hailed as the worst.
Sure. And people are fucking chopping at the bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they want that finale.
Fools.
So.
Well,
I mean, season 2 was good enough to get a third for this.
For this, yeah.
So,
well, maybe. I mean, season 1 might have been good enough to get a third.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, sometimes you get that contract, and season 2 is just it's just a buy round, or you get on through in the tournament, and you get to fight again. But yeah, no, I'm hopeful for that. I'm excited for these last 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I feel like there'll be a lot more discussion to be had, and I'm hopeful that the even odd number theory is mute.
It is.
I knew it was the moment I said it, because you're like, oh, that's interesting. I never thought about that. Like you're like held it in your face that it wasn't the case anymore. But
I can't contain it, dude. I'm so excited for the last 2.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
And I'm probably overhyping it a little bit, but they're definitely.
You were worried about me overhyping this, or over expecting, on it or whatever. But
no, it'll be good.
Cool.
So
I look forward to it.
Yeah,
we gave you a little bit extra there at the end. We rambled about season 2, but it's important, and we'll be watching it.
Yes.
After this, or after whatever comes after this, or whenever it happens. So look forward to that.
Yeah, we'll get to it.
If you're into this, there's gonna be more.
Oh yeah.
How many episodes in season 2? Same? Do we know?
I don't know. No idea.
You know anything about 3?
Nope.
Do you know who's in 3?
No. I've seen pictures, but I don't know the person that's the main character. So.
Like a more fresh face.
Yeah.
Cool.
So.
That's always exciting to me.
Yeah.
Because all these reused actors and actresses, and there's the point where it's, I'm ready for the fresh blood, and like I'm starting to see a lot more of that happen. Yeah. Especially with all these high budget TV shows, people start bleeding in from those into the cinema. Yeah. Because they knock it out of the park in Game of Thrones, and they get their own movie later, and all this. I'm like, finally. Yeah. I feel like it's been 1 or 2 people show up every now and again in Hollywood. It's just been like 100 people that get recycled. And now we're starting to get them, some real talent, a refresh.
Yeah.
Gotta get more minds, more different people, different perspectives. Anyways,
Like a fourth dimensional one.
it's all a circle, man.
Yep. Time's flat.
Time is just a flat spiral. I don't know how you get a non-flat spiral or a non-flat circle, but fuck do I know.
Yep. Don't know.
Okay, guys.
Until next time.
Yeah, we'll see you next time. Don't stare too long.
Or do.
This episode was recorded on January 28th, 2019. Our next episode will be on True Detective Episode 7, which will air on Wednesday, January 8th, 2020. Hope to see you then.
Yeah, and if you'd like updates on what we're doing and all these episode drops and other nonsense, we have a Twitter where you can follow us, a YouTube channel where we also play video games of this same theme. We have a website where all this content is put together and updated at voidstaresback.com, and you can contact us via email, and all of those links are down below.
Yeah, and if you just really like us a whole lot, we also do some other stuff online. Every Tuesday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time, you'll find us live streaming board gaming content in real life, IRL. It's crazy.
My gosh.
Yeah, we play a variety of different board games, and all of the members in our group take turns picking what games those are. So it isn't really stuck to a theme like the show is, and it's a good time. So if that interests you at all, come check us out.
Yeah.
If you'd like to support us directly, we have started a Patreon page, and you can send us any amount of money is more than appreciated.
Yes, more than we ever expect.
Yeah, exactly. But at the entry-level tier of just donating any amount of money, you'll gain access to future readings that we will do, where we will actually perform an audiobook of Lovecraft's work for quite a while. And
yes.
We'll try to branch into other people's work, but that requires licensing, and we'll figure that all in the future.
Yep, that's something for down the road. But for now, we've got plenty of material to work with Lovecraft. He was certainly prolific. So
yeah, we've got currently planned it'll be one audiobook per month. So
yes.
You'll get that during that time, because we will also be covering that book on the show. So if you don't want to read along with us when we do that episode, or read before the episode, you can just listen to us the whole way through if you're a patron. So if that interests you at all, or if you just want to support the channel irrespective of that, it'll be appreciated.
Yes, very, very much so. Thanks for listening, everyone.